You are not stuck. You are holding on. And the version of you that you are holding on to no longer exists. That is the truth most people are not ready to hear, because letting go sounds like betrayal. Letting go sounds like quitting. Letting go feels like failure. But what if holding on is what is keeping you from the future you say you want? What if the heaviness you feel right now is not confusion, but grief? You are not confused about your next move. You are mourning the one you used to make. You are grieving the old rhythm that no longer works. The identity that used to make sense, the routine that used to bring comfort, the version of you that everyone else still expects but deep down no longer fits. That grief is not the problem. Pretending it is not there is. Let me ask you something. When did you start feeling stuck? Not just frustrated, stuck, like there is something pulling you back. Like you cannot make peace with where you are and you cannot move forward either. That tension, that pressure, that sense of waiting for clarity that never comes, that is not weakness. That is a signal that reality has already shifted, but your hands are still closed around something that is already left. There is a saying I heard once: what is holding you back is what you are still holding on to. Maybe it is a title, a job, a relationship, a way people used to see you. Maybe it is a dream that served you once but no longer fits the life you are growing into. And now the future cannot reach you, not because you are lost, but because you are afraid to release what already served its purpose. You cannot climb if your hands are full. You cannot rise if you are still bowing to the old version of yourself. You do not need to know the next 10 steps. You just need to be willing to loosen your grip on the one thing that is already gone. That is where momentum begins. Not with a plan, but with release. So I want to invite you to ask yourself one quiet and honest question. What am I still holding on to that has already let go of me? Because the truth is, you are not stuck. You are just not ready to say goodbye yet. Feeling stuck is not the problem. The story you tell yourself about it is. Because when you say, I am stuck, what you really mean is, I no longer know how to be who I used to be. That version of you made sense in a past season. That mindset helped you survive something real. That identity gave you structure and approval and safety, but it no longer serves where you are going. And the more you resist that truth, the heavier life feels. This is why change is hard. Not because you do not want it, but because a part of you is still loyal to what used to work. You are still defending an old rhythm. You are still explaining an old dream. You are still trying to make peace with something that has already outgrown you. And the longer you try to breathe life back into it, the more you will feel stuck. You are not stuck because you lack ideas or talent or ambition. You are stuck because your internal compass is still pointed to a version of yourself you no longer believe in. That is why it feels like your life is frozen. Because you are standing between two stories, one that no longer fits and one you are afraid to live. And here is the hardest part. Most people around you want you to stay where you are, not because they do not love you, but because they love what they are used to. They are comfortable with who you were. And if you change, they might have to change too. So you stay still to protect their comfort. You shrink to stay familiar. You keep showing up in costumes that no longer fit, just so no one else has to feel awkward. But the cost of pretending is steep. Every day you ignore the quiet call for more, something in you hardens, something in you dies. Not in a loud, dramatic way, but in the way you stop looking forward to your own life, in the way you numb your hope, in the way you start living in survival instead of purpose. So the question is not, what do I do next? The question is, what do I need to release first? Because clarity does not come when you figure out your next job or your next title. It comes when you stop clinging to the one you no longer want. It comes when you are honest enough to say, this no longer fits me. This is no longer who I want to be. Letting go is not the end. It is the beginning of honesty. And honesty is the foundation of movement. You cannot move forward while dragging dead weight behind you. You cannot build a future if you are still trying to fix the past. You are not stuck, you are paused, and the pause is sacred because it is the place where the truth has space to speak. What if your life is not off track? What if it is exactly where it should be? What if this moment of stillness is not a failure, but an invitation? An invitation to stop and listen, to tell the truth, to stop performing. and to finally release the pressure of being who you no longer are. There is a new version of you waiting to be born, but it cannot arrive while the old one still runs the show. So today is not about answers, it is about courage. The courage to say, I am no longer that person. I do not need to carry what they carried. I am allowed to change. And that change begins the moment I stop calling myself stuck and start calling myself ready. Ready to release, ready to begin, ready to become. Sometimes it is not failure that scares us. It is being misunderstood. It is the thought of people looking at us and not knowing how to define us anymore. That is why we stay in jobs we have outgrown. That is why we stay in cities that no longer feel like home. That is why we keep showing up to a life that feels more like a memory than a calling, not because it fits, but because it is familiar. Because it is the identity we built and the one everyone around us expects to remain the same. When your friends know you as the teacher, the nurse, the executive, the mom, the reliable one, the grounded one, the funny one, the strong one, the one who always has it together, changing becomes risky. Because the moment you do something new, you threaten what they think they know about you. And when people do not understand, they often respond with silence, with doubt, with distance. So you hesitate, not because you are unsure of your desire, but because you are afraid of being alone in it. This is the resistance no one talks about, the silent weight of social identity, the invisible pressure of the room you have been in for too long, the fear that if you grow beyond their image of you, they will stop seeing you at all. So you quiet the dream, you downplay the idea, you wait for permission from people who were never meant to give it. But here is the truth. If you have to stay small to be accepted, it is not love. If you have to hide to feel safe, it is not belonging. And if the people around you only understand the version of you they first met, they were never meant to witness your becoming. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to outgrow your reputation. You are allowed to confuse the people who thought they knew you. You are allowed to disrupt their categories and break their assumptions. Because your life is not a role to be performed, it is a journey to be lived. And no one else gets to define your direction. Your identity is not static. It is not a single sentence. It is not your major, your job title, your follower count, or your relationship status. It is a living, breathing evolution of what you are learning, how you are healing, and who you are choosing to become. So stop waiting to be fully understood before you take the first step. They may never get it. They may never approve it. They may never applaud it. That is not the point. The point is not to be understood. The point is to be honest. The point is to be free. There is someone right now afraid to post their first video, afraid to record their voice, afraid to share their thoughts. Not because they are not ready, but because they are afraid of what their high school friend might think. Their coworker, their cousin, their ex. That is how small the prison becomes. You build your entire life around the opinions of people who are no longer part of your future. Let them be confused, let them gossip, let them wonder who you think you are. You know who you are. And even if you do not yet, you know who you are not, and that is enough to begin. So here is what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not next month, but today. Do one thing that breaks your own category. One thing that scares your old identity. Write the post, share the video. Apply to the job, start the class, book the trip. Whatever small act reminds you that you are not defined by who you used to be. Because the people who are meant to walk with you will not be intimidated by your change. They will be inspired by it, they will adjust, or they will exit. Either way, your direction stays the same. And if your voice is shaking, say it anyway. If your hands tremble, take the step anyway. If no one claps, keep going anyway. Because this moment is not about who sees you. It is about whether you are finally willing to see yourself. You are not here to play the role they wrote for you. You are here to write the chapter they could never imagine. So write it, say it, share it. And when you do, do not ask who is watching. Just ask yourself one question. Does this feel like freedom? If the answer is yes, then it is time. You do not need to love where you are to get where you want to be. You just need to stop cursing it. Because as long as you resent the season you are in, you will miss the tools it is trying to give you. Most people waste the place they do not want to be. They wake up in the wrong job, in the wrong rhythm, in the wrong environment, and they think the only option is to escape. But before you run, ask yourself this: what if this is not punishment? What if this is preparation? You do not have to like your job to learn something from it. You do not have to feel fulfilled by your current season to grow in it. You do not have to be passionate about what you are doing to become better at what you were made to do, because sometimes the place you hate is the place that teaches you the most. Not because it is right for you forever, but because it reveals what is missing. It shows you what you value. It pushes you toward clarity, and clarity is more valuable than comfort. We are told to follow our passion, to find the thing that lights us up, but that only works when you already have the fire. What if you are in the dark? What if you do not know what lights you up yet? What if your current environment feels empty? The truth is, passion is rarely discovered in perfect conditions. It is often discovered in resistance, in tension, in the quiet frustration of asking, is this really it? And the answer is no. But what you do next is what changes everything. You can either resent where you are, or you can extract from it. Extract the skills, extract the clarity, extract the self-awareness. Use the meetings to learn how people think. Use the routines to build discipline. Use the boredom to awaken your creativity. Use the limitations to strengthen your resourcefulness. Even if this job is not your calling, it can shape your calling. Even if this city is not your home, it can grow your strength. Even if this task is not your dream, it can teach you how to finish what you start. Nothing is wasted unless you waste it. And you waste it by wishing it away, by spending your energy resenting instead of receiving. This is what maturity looks like. When you stop asking, how do I get out, and start asking, what can I take with me when I go? Think about it. Every great story starts in a place of tension. Every breakthrough begins in a place of resistance. The person who becomes strong is not the one who had the perfect environment. It is the one who found purpose in the place they did not want to be. That is where character is built. That is where resilience is trained. That is where vision is refined. If you are stuck in a 9-to-5 that drains you, do not quit blindly. Learn everything about systems, communication, workflow, leadership. If you are working customer service, pay attention to tone, pacing, emotional response. If you are surrounded by mediocrity, study it so you never become it, so you can rise above it, so you can lead others through it one day. This is not settling. This is strategy. This is how you move forward with wisdom instead of impulse. This is how you stop wasting seasons, because even the wrong place can teach you the right things if you pay attention. One day you will look back at this season and realize it gave you something nothing else could: the patience, the self-control, the grit, the humility, the hunger, the decision to never go back. That kind of wisdom does not come from ease. It comes from choosing to grow even in the tension. So no, you do not have to love where you are, but you do have to stop being bitter about it, because bitterness keeps you blind and blindness keeps you stuck. You can hate the environment and still respect the opportunity. You can disagree with the system and still learn from the structure. You can plan your exit while honoring the process. Ask yourself this: if I am here for 6 more months, what can I take with me? What can I master? What can I extract? What can I prepare? Because where you are is not who you are, but how you respond to it reveals everything about who you are becoming. This is not the destination, but it might just be the training ground that prepares you for it. People spend their whole lives looking for purpose like it is hiding behind a locked door. They read books, they take personality tests, they chase passion like it is some magic feeling that is supposed to show up and make everything clear. But what if purpose is not something you find? What if it is something you create? You are not born knowing your purpose. You are not supposed to be. Purpose is not a destination you discover. It is a direction you decide, and that decision is not made in a vacuum. It is shaped by what you have lived through, what you care about, what makes you feel alive, and most of all, what you are willing to give. Because purpose is not just about what excites you, it is about what serves others. It is the point where your passion and their need meet. And most people miss that. They wait to feel inspired before they start helping. They wait to feel qualified before they start showing up. They think they need clarity to serve, but clarity often comes after action, not before it. Think about the people who have impacted your life the most: the teacher, the coach, the artist, the mentor, the friend. They did not change your life because they were perfectly aligned with their life's purpose. They changed your life because they showed up, they gave what they had, they served with what they knew. And over time, through the act of giving, they became clear on what they were meant to do. That is how purpose works. It grows as you go. It is not a lightning bolt, it is a seed. It starts small and it grows as you water it. Not through perfect planning, but through imperfect practice. The reason so many people feel lost is because they are trying to build their life around passion without realizing that passion is fleeting. It burns bright but fades fast unless it is anchored in something deeper. And that deeper thing is service. Not service in the dramatic sense, not fame, not heroism, just the quiet, intentional act of using what you love to meet a need that matters. If you love to write, write something that helps someone feel seen. If you love to cook, make a meal that reminds someone they are cared for. If you love to organize, help someone create space in their chaos. That is purpose. Not a career, not a title, not a personal brand, just your heart in motion, your hands in service, your skills applied with compassion. Purpose does not begin when someone pays you for it. Purpose begins when someone is better because of it. You may not even know who you helped. You may never get applause, but that does not mean it was not real. That does not mean it did not matter. In fact, that is where purpose becomes strongest, when it is not about validation, but about contribution. So stop asking, what is my purpose? Start asking, who can I serve today with what I already know? Start where you are with what you have. You do not need a platform, you need a posture of curiosity, of humility, of action. Purpose is not about being the best. It is about being a blessing. You do not need to outshine anyone. You just need to outserve your fear, and your fear will tell you that you are not ready, that you need more time, that you need to figure everything out first. But the only way to figure it out is to begin messy, begin uncertain, begin anyway. This is the shift that changes everything, from searching to serving, from pressure to presence, from performance to purpose. You do not have to chase what you are meant to be. You just have to keep showing up as who you already are. And as you serve, something shifts. The fog clears, the direction forms, the voice inside grows louder than the doubt around you, because purpose is not just a question you answer. It is a rhythm you practice. It is a life you build by doing small things with great care over and over again. So if you have been waiting to feel ready, stop waiting. If you have been searching for the sign, this is it. If you have been afraid to start because you cannot see the end, remember this: you were never meant to see the end. You were meant to take the next step. And that step is not toward passion. It is toward people, toward service, toward something bigger than your ego, but deeply rooted in your heart. That is how purpose begins. And that is how it lasts. No one wants to admit they feel jealous. It sounds small. It sounds insecure. It sounds like weakness. So we cover it up. We call it judgment. We say things like they are too much, or they got lucky, or they are just trying to show off. But underneath that tone is a truth we do not want to face. We are not angry at them. We are angry at ourselves, because jealousy is not about them. It is about the version of us we have buried. You do not envy what does not matter to you. You do not feel threatened by someone doing something that is irrelevant to your soul. Jealousy is personal. It shows up when you see someone else living out something you have quietly postponed. It shows up when you see courage you have not yet claimed. It shows up when you watch someone do the very thing you keep telling yourself is not realistic. And the reason it stings is not because you hate them. It is because deep down you remember that you once wanted that too. You wanted to start the business. You wanted to post your art. You wanted to move to that city. You wanted to walk away from something that no longer served you. But somewhere along the way, you made a quiet decision to stay safe, to stay comfortable, to stay silent. And now every time you see someone live loud in the area you have chosen silence, your mind calls it jealousy, but your heart knows what it really is. Regret. This is not something to shame yourself over. This is something to listen to. Jealousy is not a flaw. It is a flashlight. It is trying to show you what you care about, what you are called to, what you are meant to move toward. It is not just a wound. It is a whisper. And if you stop fighting it and start following it, it can lead you back to the part of yourself you buried to survive. Instead of saying, I wish that were me, ask yourself, why can't it be? Instead of rolling your eyes at someone's post, ask yourself, what is this pulling out of me? What longing is rising? What desire have I muted? What permission have I not given myself? Because the truth is this, the people you envy are not your enemies. They are mirrors. They are showing you what is possible. They are proof that the thing you keep dreaming about is not crazy. It is simply unlived. It is waiting, not for them, for you. What would happen if you let the jealousy speak? What would happen if instead of pushing it down, you pulled it closer? What would it tell you about who you are becoming, about what you are ready for, about the life you are tired of avoiding? You cannot become what you are unwilling to face. And if you keep pretending you do not care, you will never move toward what actually matters. So let it speak, let it sting, let it stir something real in you. Because the goal is not to get rid of the jealousy. The goal is to let it reveal what you need to create. Let it push you into action, into clarity, into honesty. Do not just scroll and sigh. Study it, use it. Let their breakthrough inspire your next step. Let their boldness remind you of your own. And if your first reaction is resistance, pay attention. There is something there that is not finished in you yet. The question is not why them. The question is why not you? Why not now? Why not this version of you finally stepping into the light instead of hiding behind the language of judgment? You do not have to envy what you are willing to build, and you do not have to criticize what you are finally ready to claim. The emotion is not the enemy. The avoidance is. The fear is. The pattern of pretending is. And you can break that pattern today. Jealousy is not a sign that you are behind. It is a sign that something alive is still waiting in you. Something true, something honest, something worth creating. And the only way to honor it is to begin. Most people know Roddy now as a wellness advocate, a speaker, a creative force in her own right. But they did not see her before the brand, before the glow, before the clarity. They did not see the quiet ache of someone standing in the shadow of a man the world already celebrated. Roddy did not begin her journey with a microphone. She began it with the question, who am I when I am not supporting him? Who am I outside the role I have been given? While the world called her the wife of Jay Shetty, she was asking deeper questions. What do I love? What lights me up? What can I give that is not borrowed from someone else's platform? And that question did not lead to a stage. It led to the kitchen, to Ayurvedic cooking, to grounding practices, to health, to service. She did not announce her arrival. She experimented. She shared without polish. She served without a clear plan. And slowly the work began to speak. The consistency began to shape something new. And what once looked like support became something much deeper. It became her becoming. There is a reason this story matters, because it is not about fame or followers or platform. It is about what happens when you stop waiting to be discovered and start showing up where you already are. Roddy did not chase visibility. She chased alignment. And alignment has a way of finding its way to the surface when you serve it with care. But that journey was not free of resistance. It came with comparison, with questions like, do I matter on my own? With moments of feeling behind, with voices that whispered, maybe you are not supposed to be more than support. Maybe you should stay quiet. And yet she did not silence the dream. She stayed with it. She kept showing up to what felt true. And the truth began to grow roots. She tried many things. She studied nutrition. She explored content. She tried ideas that did not stick. But instead of labeling that as failure, she called it discovery. She was not lost. She was learning. And learning takes time. It takes silence. It takes days when no one claps and the only voice you hear is your own telling you to keep going. Her story is not the story of overnight success. It is the story of inner clarity becoming external alignment. It is the story of someone refusing to shrink in a room that was already full. Someone who knew that standing beside someone powerful did not mean she had to dim her own strength. And when she finally stepped forward, it was not loud, it was not aggressive, it was honest. It was graceful, and people felt it. What makes her journey powerful is not the outcome, it is the process. A process of letting go of timelines, a process of showing up when you are not sure if it is working, a process of not needing the spotlight but choosing to shine anyway. Because purpose is not about being seen, it is about being real. And the real always rises, not fast, but fully. If you are someone who feels like you are standing in someone else's light, hear this. Their success is not your silence. Their clarity is not your absence. Their momentum is not your lack. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are in process. And process is not something to rush. It is something to respect. So maybe your kitchen is your starting point. Maybe your writing, your camera, your quiet skill that no one claps for yet. Maybe the world does not see it now, but that does not mean it does not matter. Start small. Share anyway. Serve with care. Let the work shape the identity. Let the rhythm become the message. Because like Roddy, your becoming is not about catching up. It is about coming home. Home to the version of you that never needed permission. Only courage. You do not need another sign. You do not need another quote. You do not need someone else to tell you what to do next, because deep down, you already know. You have always known. But knowing was not the problem. Trusting that knowing is, you have spent so much time asking what if it fails that you have never let yourself ask what if it works. What if the risk you take leads to something better? What if the door you are afraid to open holds the next version of your life? What if the silence you are sitting in is not punishment, but preparation? What if this whole time you were not lost? You were just shedding what no longer belongs. You have heard the message. You have felt the stirring. This is not just another video. This is a mirror. And what it reflects is not a list of steps or a perfect plan. What it reflects is a quiet but undeniable truth. You are capable. You are ready. You are allowed. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to start over. You are allowed to want more, not because you are ungrateful, but because something in you is growing. And growth always comes with tension, always comes with a letting go, always comes with a first step that no one else may understand. So take it. Take that one small action you have been avoiding. Send the message, apply to the thing, open the notebook, record the first line, walk away from the old pattern. Say yes even though your hands are shaking, not because you are fearless, but because you are done letting fear speak louder than truth. Your life does not change in one big decision. It changes in hundreds of small ones, quiet ones no one will see, ones that seem insignificant at the time, but over time they compound. They take root, they build momentum, and then one day, without warning, you wake up and realize you are living in the future you once feared. That is what this moment is. A vote for the life you are ready to build. Not the perfect life, not the safe life, but the true one, the one that reflects who you are becoming, the one that invites others to do the same. So if you feel something stirring inside right now, do not ignore it. Do not wait for the timing to feel more comfortable. It never will. Growth is not comfortable. It is necessary. And everything you want from this life is on the other side of one brave act of honesty. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not stuck. You are just ready. And now you choose